Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to class today. We are going to play with the spine and what that means. And I was reading an article and it talked about both the fluidity of the spine, right? The ability to move our spines in all directions, but also how our sedentary lives and the sitting all the time, right? Sitting in a chair, that kind of weird L-shapey thing that we do for a lot of time during our days, are creating this kind of muscle memory that is forming the shape of our bodies. It's kind of a weird thing to think about. But the more we sit, the less we stretch, the less we're moving our spines. The more our bodies are actually creating a memory that keeps us closed in the joints at the fronts of the hips and at the belly and at the shoulders and at the neck. So we're going to play with that today. We're going to see if we can open that up a little bit. So do me a favor, grab your blanket if you have one, and if not, you could use a pillow, but blankets are pretty sweet for this. And normally it's kind of that shape. Take the longer edge of that and just fold it a couple of times over. Now, for most people, that's going to be just perfect. For some, that's going to be a little bit too thick. So trust yourself. We're going to lay over this. The other thing is, I don't have one, but you might want a small pillow or towel for under your head, especially if your upper back tends to be a little bit rounded. And you can always lessen the curve of the blanket by taking it kind of down one and having the rolled end closer to the head. We're going to lay on it so that our armpits are above the blanket. So when you lay on it, when you lay on your blanket, you should feel the armpits completely free, the arms themselves completely free above the edge of the blanket. The blanket is underneath the thoracic spine. So normally, the thoracic spine has a soft outward curve to it, right? So the cervical spine supposedly curves in, the thoracic spine curves out. Lower back, lumbar spine curves in, the sacrum fairly neutral, but a slight outward curve. And what happens in our bodies, as you're getting comfortable here, is that upper back can start to round a little bit too much, especially if you're at a desk, you're on a computer, you're on your phone, you're driving. I mean, think of all the things we do where the arms are forward, the chest is tight, and the upper body has this chance to overly curve outward, known as kyphosis. So pause here and see if you can be comfortable here. This is not comfortable for everybody, and comfortable is a word that for me in this pose goes, you know, would I stay here all day? No, it's not that kind of comfortable. Is it comfortable enough to stay and explore a little bit? Yeah, absolutely. So lengthen the lower back. So lift the hips. I keep saying so. I don't know where that word's coming from. Lengthen the lower back. Lift the hips slightly. Tuck the tailbone some. And then set your sacrum back down on the floor. Lengthen the back of your neck so that the chin isn't overly raised up. You can close the eyes here. I have my knees bent and my feet on the floor. You're welcome to straighten the legs. That will deepen the lumbar curve. But maybe the knees are bent, the feet are on the floor, and I'm kind of just very gently rocking a little bit side to side. So I've been doing a fair amount of sitting over the last few days, and I can feel this in my upper back. I can feel the chest feeling a bit more tight than usual. So just pause here and then let the legs be still. Again, knees bent or not. Maybe the arms are out of cactus pose, or maybe they're straight out to the sides in T position. And close the eyes and start to tap into the breath. And as you inhale, notice how the back almost moves away from your blanket. And as you exhale, maybe draw the back into the blanket just gently, just a little bit as you exhale. Good, a few more here. And exhale. And one more. And take the hands underneath the head as if you were lounging on a lounge chair. And notice, right? So my fingers are very loosely interlaced behind the head. The elbows are pressing out to the side. From here, if it's okay for your lower back, straighten the legs. And again, pause, right? Just see how this maybe changed something in your spine, something in your back. Take another couple of really deep breaths. See if you can expand through your ribs, right? Expand through the ribs, through the muscles between each rib. Good, bend the knees, let your feet come back to the floor. Take both arms overhead any amount. The palms are face up toward the ceiling. The elbows are soft. Again, we're working with this upper back, hang in there. We won't be here too much longer. Keep your left arm overhead, let the right arm come down right over that blanket. It can just sit down along your side. And stretch the left arm as far as it'll go for you comfortably. And then both arms up toward the ceiling, just switch. Both arms up, switch, right hand down, left arm up. And one more here, switch. Find your breath. Both arms up. Imagine you're pulling a rope down to your chest. Excuse me. The arms, the elbows go out to the side, the hands come down. So push and reach up. So pull that rope down, press the elbows toward the floor and up. 3 more. Squeeze and up. And 4, squeeze and up. Last one, squeeze and up. And then let the hands, just let your hands come down. This is the harder part. You're either gonna lift up and try to scoot your blanket, not to your lower back, but to your lower ribs, or scoot your body up, depending on where you are on your mat, so that the blanket is now at the lower ribs, not at the soft flesh. Your sacrum should still be on the floor. And feel the difference, right? So we just kind of rocked that thoracic spine. And it's feeling that little change in direction. But that'll start to settle down and we feel the low ribs at the floor. So inhale, take the arms up, reach them overhead. Straighten both legs to the floor. So working with the spine today. The head, neck are neutral. See if you can resist lifting that chin up toward the ceiling. Good, big deep breath, everybody. Just stretch that out. Bend both knees. Take the left leg up toward the ceiling. Notice it'll be at an angle here. If your lower back hurts, change the blanket location or take it out. Breathe. And then lower that leg, lift the right leg. It's not gonna go straight up because the pelvis angle is not gonna let that. And breathe, take both hands behind your head. Interlace those fingers. Inhale right here. Exhale, curl up and look at your knees. Look at your knees, everybody. And then release down. We're only gonna do one more. Inhale. Exhale, curl up, maybe reach past your knees. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And release it down. Lift your hips. Slide the blanket down to your sacrum. So skip your lower back and slide that down to the sacrum. Once you're there, maybe you tilt and tuck the pelvis a little bit. Feel what's going on in your back. Your back is either happy or it's cranky or it's kind of somewhere in the middle. Trust me, we'll get that all stretched out. And then feel your sacrum nice and steady on the blanket. Bring your right knee to your chest. Straighten the left leg down to the floor. So when we talk about kind of reversing the effects of sitting, right? One of the things we're looking at is the psoas muscle, the quadriceps, and the psoas muscle that runs from the upper quad, upper inner quad, all the way to the 12th thoracic vertebra. So I'm stretching this out. I've got a nice long left leg. I'm feeling maybe just a gentle stretch through the low belly on the left side. Keep your hands behind your right knee, straighten the right leg up to the ceiling, and then point your toes really strong. Flex your foot and point and flex. Good. One more big point of those toes. Stretch the front ankle and nice big flex. Bring your knee to your chest and then just set the right foot back on the floor. Release the left side. Keep that knee on that foot on the floor and then bring the left knee to your chest. Straighten the right leg. So left knee is in, right leg is straight. This is going to be subtle. It's not as high as if we were working on a block, but sometimes subtle is good. We can tap into some of the smaller stretches here as we maybe or maybe not feel the front of the right thigh, the right inner belly, all the way up. So pause here and breathe. Upper body is soft. Hands are behind your left knee. Take the left leg up to the ceiling. And then point your toes, really point. And flex. Good, point. And flex. And then bring your left knee to the chest. Slide your right foot back up. Let your left foot come back to the floor. Press your elbows to shoulders into the floor and let your fingertips point up to the ceiling. Press into your feet, lengthen your tailbone, lift off the blanket. So bridge pose, nice and easy here. The tailbone is long. It's as if you could scoop your glute muscles down into the connection where the glutes and the hamstrings meet, right? Pressing into the feet, also pressing into the upper arms and shoulders. And then exhale, land on your blanket. Make sure you're on the sacrum, not the lower back. Bring your knees to your chest, straighten both legs up to the ceiling. Find the center of your sacrum. What does that mean? If my toes are up, hovering up over my eyes, I'm not at the center of my sacrum. I'm way up at that tip. So I'm going to lower the legs so that I have more of a 90-degree angle. And I'm right where I want to be on the sacrum, nice and steady. Take your hands to either side, lower your right leg just until it's maybe 6 inches from the floor or level with your right hip. So don't lower it all the way to the floor. Breathe, little core work here. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, left leg lowers so that it is level with that long hip, long leg. Breathe. Inhale up. Exhale, right leg. Hold here, everybody. Find the center line of the sacrum. Make sure you're not tilting or tucking. Good. Take that leg up. Exhale the left leg so it's a few inches off the floor, level with your hip. Tone that belly, tone in. And take it up, bend both knees, place both feet on the floor. Lengthen your tailbone, press the upper arms into the floor, lift up to bridge pose. And breathe, press into the four corners of your feet. And here I want you to pull the hamstrings a little bit by isometrically drawing the heels back toward your glutes a little bit. You'll feel the hamstrings engage at the back legs and maybe feel a stretch of the quadriceps at the front of the legs. Good, breathe everybody. Lengthen your tailbone, feel the glute muscles tuck long and under. Breathe and lower down. We've got one more here. Both knees up, both legs straight up. Hands come back down to your sides for support. Lower the right leg a few inches off the floor, level with that hip line. Tone the belly in, listen up. Take the right leg halfway up. Both legs straight, point both feet. Breathe. Woo. Little calf engagement there. Take both legs up, lower the left leg 4, 5, 6 inches off the floor. Tone the belly. Notice if your hips are starting to sway one way or the other. Breathe, everybody. Take the left leg halfway up. Breathe. Point your toes. Take them all the way up. One more both sides. Take the right leg almost all the way down. Keep the pelvis level. You've got good information here because you're on the blanket, so you can really feel what's happening on either side of the sacrum. Good. Lift that leg halfway up. Point the toes. Stretch the fronts of the legs. Take the legs all the way up. Last one, last side. Left leg down. Woo. Breathe, everybody. You got this. Halfway up. Point the toes. Woo. Take them all the way up. Bend your knees, your feet to the floor. We're almost done here. Lengthen your tailbone. Lift your hips up off the floor. Engage the outer hips and the glutes, but not overly. So what happens in bridge pose is if we really squeeze the glutes kind of together, we can really narrow the space in the lower back, particularly around the sacrum and the SI joints. So we don't want to overly squeeze in, but we do want to engage the outer hips and lengthen the glutes right to the sit bones where the hamstrings attach. Breathe. Hold, press into the big toe mounds. Find that bridge pose and lower down all the way. That feels better. Lift your hips, slide that blanket down to just below the hams or just below the glutes, straighten both legs. This is one of my favorite Shavasana poses, have a blanket right underneath the hip line. Feels really good and it just neutralizes the whole low back and the hips. Stretch the arms overhead. Stretch the legs long. And release both knees to your chest. Roll the knees over to one side to come on up. Oh, that felt good. And kind of notice, right? Even as you come up, notice how the spine maybe feels. And then take your blanket and unroll it, only if you need it or want it, and place it for your knees. And then come on up to table pose. So if we think again, right, if you think about how you sit, right, the crease here, usually the crease here, usually the crease at the knees, often we're working on our computers, so we've got all this tight. So we wanna see if when we do cow pose, oh, we open up that front of the body. So that's where I want your focus to be. So come into table pose. And think about, so we often will do cat, right? Which is it's rounded up, chin tuck, all that stuff. I feel like we're just doing what we do when we sit. So instead of doing cat, I want you to start at neutral, little bit of tone to the belly, but instead go to cow and open up the front and then see if your chin will go a little further, which is tricky. And then release to neutral, so you're just looking down at the floor. And then inhale, move back into cow pose. Tailbone rises up, the chest lifts. See if you can feel a little stretch in your belly, and then see if the chin will lift just a hair more. And back to neutral. We have just one more here. Once again, tailbone raises, the chest raises. The belly stretches, the chin lifts just a little bit more, and release, neutral spine, well done. Take that right leg back, and then lift it up. Find your breath. First thing we're gonna do is bring that knee to the right side chest, tuck in, and then stretch out, point the toes when you stretch. Good, bring it in on the exhale. Point the toes, lift the leg on the inhale. Good, 3 more. Breathe. And open. And bring it in. Think of spine here and lift. Last one, squeeze it in. Hold it out. Level out the hips. Reach the left arm out. I love balancing table for the very reason that it strengthens all the muscles alongside that spine. Breathe, you can point the toes, you can flex the toes. Find your breath. Lower the hand, lower the knee, and just come on off those wrists for a second. Maybe shake them out. We're still getting a little wind out there this morning. Good. All right, let's come on back up. Same thing, other side. Press the left leg back, tone the belly in, lift the leg. So you do want to be mindful, even though we're bringing the knee out and then bringing it up, maybe lifting it a little bit. Watch that low back, everybody, okay? So here we go. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, point the toes, lift. And exhale, bring it in. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squeeze it in on purpose. And lift. Exhale, squeeze it. And lift. We got one left. Squeeze it in, everybody. And lift it up. Good. Find neutral. Flex the foot. Engage the hip and the glute. Take the right arm out. Find your breath. Right? Think about, where do you feel this in your back? Maybe you gotta tone that low belly in a little bit more. That's the low back chatting with you. Notice. Lower the hand, lower the knee. Listen up, you're gonna come on down to your belly. That blanket is there, it feels really nice. It's gonna go underneath your hips. And just kind of rock a little bit. We're in a very lazy Sphinx pose right now. I wouldn't go too crazy. I just want you to feel what's happening. But if you're up on elbows and you sway, like sway to the right, and see if you can feel the stretch in the lower belly or mid belly on the left side. So I've swayed to the right, my left side belly is stretching. And then center and sway to the left. And see if you can find any stretch in that belly there. And center, good, and then lay down. Your forehead can be resting on your hands. I'll keep my head up, my chin on my fists here, just so I can talk. And then snuggle your hips down into the blanket and press the pubic bone down. Lift your right leg. Keep both hips on the floor. Point your toes and engage the right glute. And just hold that, just feel that and hold it. So again, right, if we're sitting in a chair, we're doing the opposite of this. If we're sitting in a chair, the hip crease is bent and tight. Here we're seeing if we can tap into the hip extensors, the glutes, in order to stretch that leg. Breathe and then just lower. Press into the pubic bone, lift the left leg. If you lift too high, you're gonna dump into the lower back, so tap it down just a little bit and see if you can feel the front of the hip. It's what we're looking for. And lower down. Take the feet wide on your yoga mat. Lift both legs. Don't go so high that you feel your lower back. Try to keep it centered in the glutes. The glutes are your main hip extensor. The hip extensor means you're stretching the front of the hip. Big deep breath, everybody. Lower that down. Keep your legs wide. Come back to Sphinx pose. Find your breath. Open up the shoulders. Press the elbows back isometrically. Breathe. And just notice, do you feel the lower back? Do you have to maybe press the low belly in and move lower on the pubic bone just a little, right? Do you feel the difference there? Good, lower down. Take your hands forward and wide and press up. Again, you know you, right? If this hurts your low back, please don't do it. Where's that belly stretch? Anybody feel a belly stretch? Do you feel it, Adriana? Right, there it is, like, oh yeah, and lower down. Let's just do two more there. Take it up. Lengthen your tailbone. Outer hips engaged. Lower down. Good, last one, take it up. And breathe, soften the shoulders. Good, everybody's looking strong. And lower down, thank goodness. All right, turn on to your side. I promise we're gonna get up off this mat. I do, I really do. But lower down, right? Use your hand, arm for a pillow. If that doesn't work, a block under your head can work really nicely here. Bend the knees. Take your top hand and just place it right in front of you. Straighten the top leg. Point the toes and see if you can reach the leg back without arching the lower back. Okay, so again, feel a little belly stretch, which tells me I've been doing either too many sit-ups or too much sitting. But I want to see, again, this hip flexor. I want to see if I can move that hip flexor. So I'm reaching back, I'm pointing the toes, and then I'm going to bend the knee and bring it up to my shoulder. I'm going to straighten it and on purpose. Notice I am not swinging. Very much on purpose. Bend the knee, bring it up to your shoulder. Straighten it, point the toes, reach back, don't lean forward. I don't know if you saw that, but I just lean my body forward. Very much a compensation. I'm trying to stay right at the side. Last one. Knee to shoulder, straighten the leg, point the toes, reach that leg back, but keep the shoulder back too. And release that. Nice job, everybody. You're just bent knees. Good. You're going to turn over. I'm going to flip over just so I don't have my back to you quite so much. Again, make sure your head and neck are comfortable. The knees are bent to start. The belly's toned in. Straighten the top leg. When you're ready, engage the belly, reach the leg back, point the toes. You may notice one side different than the other.
And when the leg is back, notice where you maybe or maybe don't feel the stretch. Is your tendency to roll the body forward? Can you keep the body pretty much on its side? And bend the knee, bring it to shoulder. Straighten the legs, reach it back, don't swing it, very much on purpose here. And knee to chest. Straighten, reach back. Keep the torso upright, keep everything from rolling forward. 2 more, bring it in. And reach back. And last one, bring it in. And reach it back. And release it. Knee on top of knee, press yourself up to a seat. Come to your easy seated pose. We're almost done. So the spine, right, moves in 6 directions, more or less. It's really 6 directions. There's some debate about the shearing force of the vertebra, which could be your 7 and 8. But for the most part, what does it do? Take your hands to your knees, round back. So this is a seated cat pose. So the back will go, the spine will go backwards like this, and then press forward and reach. So the spine moves in and out. Come to neutral. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, one hand down, other arm over. The spine will bend from one side to the other. Breathe, take that arm up, squeeze and release to the other side. Press down through that hip. Reach up, bend the elbows, cactus pose, the spine, the vertebra will twist, right? And drop the shoulders as you move into a twist. Try to keep that twist through the belly first, and then the chest, then the shoulders, and then the neck, right? Breathe. Good, release, arms up. Cactus arms, twist everything to the other side. The hands come down. Notice again, right? So you have just moved your spine in all 6 directions. I think that's pretty cool. Breathe. And arms up. Exhale down. Whew, good. Roll those shoulders out. Now let's get up on our feet. So do it in a beautiful yogi way. If you want to move your blanket out of the way, this would be a great time to do that. And maybe you find down dog first, maybe you find a forward fold, but bring yourself all the way up to standing and roll your shoulders, shake everything out. Grab a hold of your blocks, take them up to the front of your yoga mat. And find mountain pose. So you're standing nice and tall, the body's nice and tall, the tailbone descends down, the whole front of the body is up, and think of reversing chair, seated chair work. I love chair pose, by the way, we may do that, but think about reversing what we tend to do all day by getting the front of the body long. Inhale, take it up. Exhale all the way down. Your hands can come to blocks right now if you want, but otherwise a nice easy forward fold. Fingertips are to the floor or to your blocks. Take your hands to the middle of your shins, come halfway up. Exhale the rest of the way down. Hands to shins halfway. Exhale down. Last one, hands to shins, lift. Right, little funky cat cow if you think about it, and down. Bend your knees, step back with your right leg, come into a lunge. Your hands can come to your blocks. Your lunge is wide enough from side to side that you feel stable, and you can drop that knee down. It's okay with me. So keep the knee up if you can, otherwise drop it down. Think about where your spine is and take your hands to your left knee, but don't lift up. Whoop.
Don't lift up. And then squeeze the belly in and then lift the chest up. Take the arms up. Find your breath. Where is your spine in space right now? If your psoas is tight, your torso, chances are your torso is going to be forward because it doesn't like the big stretch here. So if you find your torso forward, bend the back knee a little bit and see if the torso can come up right. Good job, Betty. She's been holding this arms up this whole time while I'm talking. Take your hands behind your head. Press the head back and the elbows out. Yep, breathe. Here's that upper back again. Inhale up. Exhale down to the block. Listen up. Lower your right knee to the floor. Sorry, I moved your blanket out of the way. We won't be here too long. Tone your belly. Cushion the knee if you need to or want to. And feel the stretch right here. And breathe. Right, so nothing else to do. Don't go deeper. Don't drop that right hip. Just keep it level and see if you can almost move the knee from the knee to the hip a little bit longer. A little isometric work there. Good. Lift the knee. Breathe. Push off. Step forward. Bend both knees and inhale all the way up. Exhale. Maybe feel the difference one side to the other, right? It's just amazing. Like it's like, oh, why does this feel more stretched out? Inhale, take it up. Exhale all the way down, hands to blocks or not. Breathe. As we play in the forward fold, think about the deepening of the hip crease, the little bit of an anterior tilt of the pelvis so that our upper backs are not rounding. Or sorry, our low backs. If your low back is really rounded here, I would definitely have my hands on my blocks. All right, hands to shins, lift up. Exhale it down. Inhale shins. Exhale down. Last one, inhale shins. Exhale down. Soften both knees, step back left leg. Your hands can come to your block. High or low lunge. Level out the hips. Right, there's a whole class there. We were playing with that for a long time. If we level those hips out, level the pelvis really is the more accurate term, so that one hip isn't doing a deep dive compared to the other. We can maintain a lot more integrity there. Good, so tone the belly in, fire up the legs, take your hands to your knee, keep the torso low. And then kind of curve in the belly, like really bring the low belly in, and then lift up the chest. And check out the psoas, particularly quad and psoas on the left side. How's it feel here compared to the other side? Breathe. Again, remember, bend the back knee if your front left leg is so tight that your torso wants to stay pitched forward. It's not a defect. It's how you're built, right? And how much sitting we're doing in the world. So take the arms up. I'm very chatty today. Breathe. Hands behind the head, just press the head back. Elbows out. That's it. Nice stretch, everybody. Release. Hands come down to your blocks. Lower your left knee. You can undo your toes there. Again, find the stretch. Often, we'll be tighter on one side than the other. And sometimes it's dominant leg, but sometimes not. And what I learned from another teacher is sometimes what you think is a stretch is actually that the muscle isn't as strong as you think it is. So I often think my left side is getting more stretched, but I think in exploring, it's maybe just not as strong as the right side. And that's why I have more sensation there. So kind of interesting thing to think about. Hold, just feel it, your left glute is engaged. Deep breath. And then lift that knee. Maybe walk your blocks forward and step forward. Bend both knees, come up all the way to standing. And shake it out. Maybe just walk it out a second, feel the difference. Front to front, right, side to side. We're gonna do one more very similar to what we just did. We're gonna add on and see where we go from there. And then we'll take it off on another direction. So nice solid mountain pose. And think about what we do, one when we're sitting, but then what we do to reverse it. Shoulders back, body is tall, the head is in alignment, right? We're not reaching forward, trying to read our emails. Breathe, the back of the knees are not locked out. I know one of you out there tends to do that. So try not to overlock. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down, little thunder out there. Hands to your shins, just one time. Press the hands into the shins, lift your torso. Exhale down. Soften the knees, step back with your right leg. We've already been here. I want you to lower the knee. Lower your right knee, undo your right toes. Squeeze your belly. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Breathe. That's it. Again, feel the stretch. Notice. Exhale, lower. I want you to straighten the front leg. Oh, flex the foot. Reach back. Bend the front knee. Leave your right hand on your block. Take the left arm up. Here's your twist. Breathe. Hand down. Find your pose. Lift your knee. One, you're here. You're going to hang out here. Two, take your hands up. Breathe. Fire up the back glute. Take your time. Exhale, hands down. Straighten the front leg. So more rounded here, more cat-ish here, right? As opposed to the high lunge, which is more cowish. Bend your knee. Leave your right hand down on your block, any height. Take the left arm up. Here's our twist. Breathe. Exhale that hand down. When you're ready, you're going to step forward. Push off, step forward, bend your knees, hands to the knees, lift up, find mountain pose. Take it out. So if you live in Florida, we've been having a hurricane here in Sarasota. We're very, very fortunate to get some wind and rain, but I know we are all thinking about the people up the coast who are being strongly impacted by the hurricane. So little prayer out to them. All right, other side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, everybody. Hands to shins, press up. Exhale it down. Soften the knees, step back left leg. Find your lunge, lower your knee. So there's a different stretch to be had when the knee is down versus up, right? So we play there, we go, what's different on this side? Make sure the back glute is active so we don't overstretch the front. Inhale, reach the arms up. And breathe and maybe smile. You got this, everybody. Breathe. Exhale, hands down. Straighten the front leg. Always like to flex my foot here, and it's almost like you're gonna drag that heel back. Isometrically, again, you just gotta watch that knee, that you don't let it kind of pop back. Easy to do there if the ligaments are a little bit loose, or if that's your body's tendency. Bend your knee. Your left hand stays where it is, the right arm goes up. Twist. Breathe, everybody. Exhale, hands down. Here we go, same thing, right? Knee lifted, take that knee up, find your stability. Much harder to lift that knee to find all that stability that we need, so squeeze the inner thighs. Tone the low belly, take the arms up when you're ready. Find your breath. You got it. Breathe. Ooh, feel that stretch still on the left side. That baby's tight. Take those hands down to your blocks. Straighten the front leg. Straight is relative, everyone, right? I do caution you about hyperextending, but if your hamstrings are really tight, the leg might not be fully straight. That's okay. Your knee is a little bit bent. You honor that. Bend the front knee. Take the right arm up, left hand stays down, nice easy twist. Big deep breath. Exhale that hand down. Beautiful job, everybody. When you're ready, push off, step forward. Your hands are probably on your block, so bend your knees, take one block with you, and come to standing. Ooh, and shake it out. Feel that. Maybe walk a little on your mat. And feel how much taller you are. So, right, we all get this measurement, this height measurement when we're adults. And then the general thinking is, as we get older, we shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink. I say no. Let's do our best. How much of it is truly the spine starting to, disintegrate, or the loss of the discs between, and how much of it is because we're starting to do this, right? The bent knee, the bent hip, the belly tight, right? How much of it is that? And imagine how much taller you can get by standing upright. So take that block between your thighs, which is always such a beautiful thing after we do lunges and things. Walk the feet in, squeeze in through those inner thighs, make contact with your block, and just pause. And think again. So I love the psoas muscle. Love it. It goes, so where this block is pretty much is where that psoas attaches. It's so bizarre. It attaches to the upper inner thigh at a little bony thing that's called the lesser trochanter. It goes in through, it goes along the front of the ilium, all the way up. It attaches to the lumbar vertebra, all the way up to the 12th thoracic vertebra. Think about that. It's like from here to here. No wonder it gets tight. What's the psoas do? It's this. No wonder it's so tight, right? So what do we get to do? We get to go, we give it some love. So I want you to squeeze your block, take both hands into your big, deep back pocket. So keep the hands low and imagine that you're pulling that pelvis down, pulling that sacrum down. And then lift up, squeeze your block, press your hips forward. Bring the shoulders back, don't tilt the head back. Think of this as a back bend. I'm squeezing the block, I'm keeping the hip points forward, but I'm not going in my lower back. Take one hand to your chest, take the other one to the center of your sacrum. I'll turn around here. center of your sacrum, and move those two hands apart from each other. Don't drop the head, please. Hips stay forward, the chest lifts, right? This is a standing camel. Breathe. And release that. That is a beautiful thing. Just shake it out. What can you do with a block between your legs? Walk this way. All right, I just did a penguin walk. That's what that felt like. One more, I want you to squeeze the block. I'm gonna turn sideways this time. Squeeze the block, and I want you to think from feet up. So outside pinkies of your feet, the whole ball mound of the feet to the big toes. The inner ankles toward each other, feel that. Now the inner line of the legs is super active. One hand to sacrum, one hand to chest. Just think about, without even bending, think about the hand that's at the sacrum going down, the hand at the chest rising up. I think I just grew a ½ inch right there. And then I'm gonna go, how much further? How much further? How much further? It's like somebody's blowing up a balloon on the inside. And then I think, okay, well, what's happening with my hips? I'm gonna press the hips forward, squeeze the block. Press the hips forward, squeeze the block. I'm gonna lift that chest a little bit more. I'm gonna keep the sacrum dropping down. And then I find this reaching up, right? Without pain, no low back stuff. And release it. And shake it out and move that block out of the way. 4 years, I sat in my lower back in yoga. I didn't know there could be another way. Now I know there's another way, right? We move our torso away from and out of the lower back, but keeping it long. And by moving the body parts, that should be moving instead of right here. All right, so having said all that, your feet hips width apart. One thing I do believe, if we're gonna do this much stretching, we're gonna do a little bit of contracting to balance it out. So what's that mean? We're going to chair, everybody. Exhale, come on down. Here's the cool thing about chair. It's the same principle in my mind. One hand to chest, one hand to sacrum. Move both of them in opposite directions. Feel that. Your feet are solid. The inner ankles just gently head toward each other like little weak magnets trying to pull them together. You're here, either the hands are at the heart or they're up. If taking your hands up or even forward rounds your back, then I would rather see the hands at your heart. Good, big deep breath. Press into your feet. Some of you can maintain the spine and get lower. A lot of us cannot. I'm okay with chair anywhere between here and the knees barely bent. Breathe, and then stand all the way up. Exhale, all down. Roll it out, everybody. Whew. Good, last one here. And what is that? Let's drink water first. So maybe you're near a wall, right? Maybe you have, just to assist with balance, I want you to find that mountain pose again. Take your hands to your hips and step back with your right foot just so you land on your toe, if you can. This in and of itself is a really interesting balance pose. I'm balancing on my big toe. My leg is doing all this kind of little wobble back and forth. That's all okay. Now I want to check out the hips. For me, I got to bring the right hip forward a little bit. Got to squeeze in the belly, lift up the chest. 1, you're here. 2, you're going to lift and see if you can stay out of the lower back. Ooh. Breathe, this glute should be fired up. Still good, opposite arm reaches up. This is a variation of dancer, a big variation. Try to keep the torso up. And lower. Ooh. Right, interesting work. Because even for me, I have a lumbar spine that likes to move. So even for me, if I'm here, what I wanna do is pull all this out and get here in my low back. And that's not what we're looking for in dancer pose. So same thing, other side. First you're centered, then you slip that big toe back, level the hips. Think about the front body getting long, but tailbone and chest moving away from each other. Just notice. And then take opposite arm up. Whoops, and lift the back toe if you want. Point the toes. And release it. Ooh. Yeah. Almost done. I know, right? Mm-hmm. So dancer pose, very similar, and I love the gradation of dancer. Same with so many other poses. You can be here, 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 right? Where you go with your spine is going to be up to you. So choices. Either come on back to this one, because I really like this one. See if you can get that foot lifted off the floor with one or both arms up. Variation there. Or we're gonna see if we can grab a hold of, I'm switching because I'm gonna start on my stronger leg. Little secret there. I wanna see if I can first grab the foot. So here's what we've been stretching this whole time, is this space. So if we can, we draw the knee back a little, we draw the shoulder back a little, we find that nice even hip. I'm pushing my foot into my hand. I'm going to take my opposite arm up. This is dancer pose. If you would like, start to press the knee back and the torso forward. And breathe. And release. Woo. And shake it out. So even with all that stretching, I didn't feel like I could move that leg back as far as I wanted to, ego, without dropping my low back. So I stayed down a little bit so that I could play with what we've been playing with all day. All right, same thing other side. Again, a wall that's beautiful, fingertip to a wall makes all the difference. Stand tall. If you can, go ahead and hook that foot, or you're bringing the big toe back. Take the other arm up and just think of moving the upper and the lower away from each other. When and if you're ready, you're just going to tilt forward and breathe. And smile. And let go. Shake it out. All right, back to the front of your mat. Let's do down dog. What a concept. Let's do down dog. So let's find a forward fold, stretch it all out, step the feet back, and find your down dog. And just shake it out, everybody. Whew. Funny, we didn't do a single dog today. All right, just move the hips side to side. Press into the hands, maybe come up on the tippy toes. And then let the heels drop a little bit more to the floor. They don't have to touch. Most people, they don't touch. Breathe. And then lower down to your knees. Curl yourself over so that you sit back down on your butt. Dig the heels into the floor. Lean back a little bit, hands underneath your thighs. Open up the shoulders. Lift one heel. Find your breath. That heel that you lifted, keep that hand there. Lift the opposite hand. And breathe. So simple, simple, right? Core work again. Lower. Same thing other side, lift the heel. Square the shoulders, hang on to that leg, lift the other arm. And breathe. And lower. Lean back, lift the chest, lift both heels, hold onto those legs. What would happen if you try to push those legs straight? The hands won't let you, right? Where is that? So, where are you feeling this? Probably psoas, right? Because here we are, maybe at the crease of the hips. No?
Lower back.
Lower back. Take the arms out. Hold. Breathe. Lower. And straighten the legs. Find your breath. Grab one block and let it sit next to you. And then come on down to the floor. So you're on your back. I want you to pause here. Maybe rock a little side to side. Take everything back to center. Let's get a nice bridge pose here. So lengthen the tailbone, lift your hips. You don't have to go super high here. Press your hands down into the mat. And see if you can lift your right foot. Lower that right foot, level the hips, see if you can lift your left foot. Lower that. Bring your right knee to your chest, straighten the leg up to the ceiling. Press into your left foot, everybody. Bend that knee, let that foot come back to the floor, level the hips. Bring your left knee to your chest, straighten it up to the ceiling. Bend back to the floor, press into bridge pose. Grab your block, place it under your sacrum, and lower your hips right down to the block. Please make sure that block is nowhere near your lower back. I say that every time. You want that block below the line of your hips or your pelvis, right? Breathe. Just pause right here. Nothing else to do. Bring your left leg to your chest, straighten your right leg. So we did this at the beginning of class with a blanket. If this block is too high, I would either switch to blanket or just bend the right knee a little bit, and it'll lessen the stretch in the psoas. There should be no low back stuff. If there's low back stuff, try tilting or really tucking the pelvis a little bit so that the lower back is a little flatter. Try to relax the right leg. Just let it relax. And then bend the right knee, bring it to chest, straighten the left leg. So even with the knee that's in chest, I'm not pulling it in. It's really just my hand is really just a place marker. It's not pulling. You don't even need your hand, the knee's not gonna go anywhere. Try to relax your left leg. Deep breath. And then bend that knee, both knees to chest. Both legs straight up. Find your hover point. The shoulders, neck, head, super comfortable here. Your legs are just hovering up in the air. You can circle
your ankles. And then circle the other way. Flex your ankles really strong, really flex. And then point. And then just relax your feet, relax your upper body. Maybe close your eyes here. Soften your internal gaze. Find your breath. Relax your jaw, everyone. Relax your belly. Bend your knees, bring your knees toward your chest. One foot at a time, place those feet on the floor. Pause again. Press into your feet, lift your hips, take the block out, pause again just for a moment. And then lower your spine all the way down to the floor. Lift your hips and shift them to the left edge of your mat, just your hips. Draw the knees to your chest, allow the knees to roll to the right, coming into a final twist. Again, softening your face, maybe smiling just a little bit. Softly release this twist, one knee up and the other knee up. Your feet come to the floor, the hips go back to the middle, and then they lift and shift over to the right. Knees come back up toward chest, and the knees release to the left. Release this side, knees back to the middle, your hips back to the middle. We're gonna move to Shavasana, and I did not cue it, but if you wanna pop up and grab your blankets, either for under your knees or under your thighs or over top your body. So let's make our Shavasana just really sweet, however it is for you. Sometimes you can do blanket and blocks, where the blanket is under the thighs and the blocks are under your shins. That can feel really, really good as well. And then come on down. Let everything fully relax. Let the arms come down to your sides. Ideally, palms up, your tailbone is long, your back is not overarching. And we let go here. We surrender. There's nothing to do but be here right now. Each breath infusing our spines with vitality, flexibility, mobility. See if you can sink down even more. As you're ready, slowly start to move your body, bending the knees. Drawing your knees to your chest. And again, maybe rocking side to side. Allow your knees to roll over to one side. And pause here and then just a sweet little fetal pose, also known as seedling. I love that name because I feel like we plant seeds each time we practice. As you're ready, come on up, everybody, find your seat. Bring your hands to your heart. And please take a moment to send some light, some love, some safety to the people in the panhandle of Florida and beyond. Thank you all so much. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.